Breakroom Mom.
Thank you for having me.
So excited to chat with you. You are a powerhouse in the mompreneur space. You own Blush Coworking space in Cary, which is the first women-focused co-working space with childcare. Ladies and gentlemen, which is amazing. And you've recently partnered with the Coven, so we're going to talk about that. But I got the chance to view your space yesterday, and it is amazing and fun and empowering and all the things.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yay! I'm happy too.
And thank you for saying all those nice things.
Yes. All right, my friend. Well, we're going to talk about being a woman business, owning this crazy business that has childcare, and I'm sure there's a lot that goes into it. We're going to talk about who shows up in your space every day that you own, all the things. But before we do that, we're going to have fun.
Okay.
Because we are both moms. You have 2 boys.
I do.
I feel like as moms, we never really get the chance to let it all out and have our tantrum moment. We're just busy holding it together for everybody else. So, Allison, I want to hear your tantrum for the day, and then I'm going to head into mine.
My tantrum is very of the moment.
Okay.
And it does relate to being a mom because it is about the pollen.
Oh.
So it's really bad. And of course, it happens right in the season where I have to be outside doing all these activities with my boys. Like last weekend, we had to we were at soccer games Saturday and Sunday, fully outside, just all in it. And I hate it so much. And people over by my office, it's so bad. And
Yeah. If people have no idea what we're talking about, the pollen in North Carolina, where we live, is obnoxious. To the point you can wash your car one day, you walk out the next day, it's tinged the color yellow. I think it's that season of is it a cold? Am I getting sick? Is it just allergies? Nobody knows. Also, have you heard that pollen is only from male trees or something like that?
Yes.
So it's just, it's a male issue.
Yes.
Making us all miserable.
And cities plant the male trees because they're less messy to maintain because they don't have fruit and, they don't actually bear it or produce. They don't drop as much stuff that then they have to clean up. But then I'm we all suffer because the pollen just goes everywhere.
This all tracks to me. This all tracks. My tantrum for the day, again, small, but we were chatting about this yesterday. I have become such a curmudgeon about parking. Don't invite me somewhere if the parking is going to be hard. If I'm going to have to park in some sort of deck and the 6th floor of a deck, and then I'm going to have to walk and I'm going to have to pay, just don't even invite me. Girls' nights, whatever it is, just make it easy. Pick a place that has good parking. And I know I sound like I'm 80 years old.
No, not at all. Because I am the same way. It's enough that you're launching me out of my normal routine and the places that I go, and you're putting me somewhere where I've never been and I have to figure out parking and I can't parallel park. No, and then I have to pay?
And I've already gotten out of my sweatpants.
Why would you do that to me?
Yeah.
No.
I love what you said. You're expecting me to get out of my natural environment. I'm
yes.
That hits. Okay, I've gotten out of my sweatpants or my yoga pants or whatever. I've gotten myself done up. Yeah. And then you have the audacity.
And then I have to drive on a highway maybe. And then I have to find a parking space.
No.
And then figure out how to pay for it.
Yeah.
No.
I really feel like we're going to reach a point where parallel parking ages out because no one knows how to do it.
I just don't go. If there's not a deck or a lot,
count you out.
No. Yeah, I can't.
Kid's sick.
I'll just be circling the block. I'll wave to you. You'll never see me.
So I want to talk about your business because you started Blush. I mean, when such a hard time for businesses to get off the ground, which was during the pandemic.
Yes.
But I also think you were probably targeting a real need at that time because so many parents were working from home, were thinking about how in the world am I going to balance taking care of these kids and working from home? So talk to me about your journey and just that moment of starting it.
I think sometimes the best business ideas are born from real pain points. And that's really what it was, because in 2020, I was working, I still had a business that I had before that was like kind of a consulting business. I was working full time as an employee. I had a second grader and I had a 3-year-old, and it was all terrible. And, on top of it being like, the isolation of being at home, and I have felt like I was failing everybody. I ended up like firing my biggest client for my business and just kind of putting that to the side. And then, I was like, do I need to quit my job because I need to take care of these kids because they are just on top of me 24/7. So that's where it all came together for me, because I was like, if I'm struggling with this, I want to fix this problem for myself, but certainly other people are struggling with this. And then the 10 years prior to that, I was, finding childcare under normal circumstances is hard.
Very hard.
Around here. There are a limited number of spots. It's very expensive. And then just working from home, even prior to the pandemic, when I was just by myself, and it wasn't like that where there were kids around or my spouse was there too. It was just, I was like, I need to talk to other adults every day. Like, that is just something that I need. So it all kind of came together during the pandemic for me, just from like really struggling with all those things.
Yeah, I totally get it. I think a lot of parents during the pandemic had that same sort of like, I've got to make a decision here. Like, do I quit my job? Because I don't know how you balance things otherwise. Like, it was just such a tricky time. So tell me, were you like Googling how to start a business with coworking and childcare? Were you like looking at models?
Yes, I was looking at places around the country that had successfully done this, or at least tried it. And there were some good models out there. A lot of them eventually ended up kind of pivoting one way or the other, because I think it is kind of hard to maintain a really balanced model. But I want to give myself credit. I feel like that's where I have been successful and kind of sticking with that. And one of the models that I looked at was the Coven. So, because they had at one point had childcare at one of their locations. So yeah.
I feel like that's a big value add, like a huge value add.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, how can you get people to be really productive and creative and be able to work if they're worried about these kinds of basic needs? Like, is my child okay? Like, do I have somebody, with my child, like, safe and cared for? And you just take care of that need. And then all of a sudden people are like, okay, I can do this now.
Yeah, absolutely. You've given them a gift. Blush recently partnered with the Coven. You talked about that. First of all, I love that name, the Coven, because I love anything witchy.
Yes.
But you recently started that partnership. So talk to me about that and where the decision came from to go that route, and what kind of like new things it brought to Blush.
From the moment I opened the doors, I had people kind of expressing interest in having more locations and being able to, like, have that somewhere else, because part of it has to be geographically, in a good spot for them too. You can't ask people to
drive 45 minutes.
Yeah. Although we have had people, because it is unique, we have had people who do that.
Wow.
But I think that wears on you. Like, it takes away some of the convenience factor when you're commuting an hour to your co-working space. But I was just, I would pursue that, and I was never really able to get there, especially just by myself, because it's a lot. It's like running 2 separate businesses. I'm one person. I also like want to have a life. And so it was hard. But yeah, so the Coven was one of the models that I looked at prior to opening, that it had childcare. And I just thought it was a cool business. And then I think even before I opened, just because there was a little bit of, people knew about it before we opened, I was able to kind of ramp up some interest beforehand for about a year. And so I connected with Alex, who's one of the co-founders of the Coven, and she was really a mentor for me. So they were kind of always there throughout the journey and following me, and, we connected, And then in early 2025, I went to go see Alex and Aaron, two of the founders, speak in Chapel Hill about something different. Like they were just there, and I was like, oh, I haven't met them in person. I want to go meet them in person. And during the course of kind of that presentation they were doing, they said that they were really interested in North Carolina. And so like immediately I was like, if they're going to do something in North Carolina, I want to be involved.
For sure.
And they had kind of like, they had talked before about like, how can we kind of like partner together? But that was the moment that really crystallized for me, where I was just like, yeah, okay, well, let's explore this possibility. Like, what would it look like if I was, instead of growing just by myself in this direction, if I was able to grow the community and get my members more by connecting them with this larger community of thousands of people. So
that's really cool. So how does the Coven work? Like, how is it different than what you started with Blush?
Well, I am still like, I'm the only location with childcare, but I thought that's kind of part of what I was bringing to the table, because they were looking at really, expanding into lots more areas, taking their successful model and kind of bringing it to more areas of the country. But I think I bring the success with the childcare part of it.
Sure.
And, I think if you ask the Coven founders, like that's what they would say too. They were just, because they were like, we tried it and we couldn't really sustain it the way we were doing it.
And you have.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
Yes. Because I think mostly because I'm stubborn, but I mean, it's been through a couple of incarnations now, and I have done I've worked really hard at maintaining that, because I'm not willing to give it up.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, we kind of talked about that, right? Like your day percentage, 75% of your work may be related to the childcare component and 25% to your work, the co-working space. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like you talked about it being like a disproportionate amount.
I think it's like more headspace. It's maybe not, like not hands-on work, but, obviously when you're dealing with people's children and you're dealing with regulations and, like things like that around the childcare, it's just sensitive work.
For sure.
So I put a lot of time and effort into, making sure that the kids are all well cared for, and that we have good facilities for them, and that we have the best caregivers, and that everyone, it's scheduling those people, and the staff needs, like really being a leader for a staff is a lot more about the childcare side. Because, I have a staff of usually like 4 to 5 providers, and, just making sure that they're all cared for as well as part of the community. It's just a lot of time and effort goes into that, at least in my mind. Maybe not like,
pen to paper, but
yes,
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. I mean, it's an important space. I can only imagine like legislation and guidelines and all the things.
Yeah.
But we talked about like, for me as a mom, and I imagine others, I don't even know that I would pursue like the co-working space without the childcare. Like for me, that would be such a huge advantage to going. My kids have aged out, sadly, but
Well, I mean, we have lots of members who don't use it, and we have lots of members who maybe they use it for a set amount of time, but they find the co-working part to be really beneficial too, or even just using the childcare as a backup. Because especially if you have a nanny or a family member taking care of your child, then that's a human being. Like they need time off. They get sick. And so just knowing that if you have a really important meeting, no matter what, your child is going to be covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a good feeling. What a good feeling. Let's talk about your childcare, because we're on that topic. So I believe, and keep me honest, you have applied like a Montessori approach to your childcare. So why was it important for you to just go beyond? I mean, it'd be easy to stop at just like, this is babysitting. This is a containment area for your children while you work all day. And I still think people would be drawn to it. And I still think it would be an amazing benefit. But you went a step further. So can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yes. So, I mean, that was really... It was a decision for the community, but also a business decision. So I started out with a slightly different model where it was more like babysitting, and I, partnered with another business, and I think that was great. But I just from the parent involvement and how long people stayed and kind of their attraction to the program, I could tell that it wasn't quite what these parents were looking for. And so that's when I talked to, I actually had a member, Anna, and she, was one of the founders of Hopscotch Labs. And she was like, okay, well, what if we did this? Like, what if we partnered together? And she's like, that's what we do. And Hopscotch Labs actually started in the same kind of model in Boston. And then they eventually kind of closed their physical space. And so now they help other businesses kind of, get their childcare up and running. And so she's like, what if we come in and we kind of, we train, your providers, we find really good people, we kind of like create a core curriculum, we rearrange the room and just make it more in Montessori style. Do you think that would be a good, benefit to your parents? And it really was.
Yeah.
That was what allowed me to kind of maintain that program, because it just wasn't working out when it was just like drop-in babysitting.
Sure.
It just people came and they used it, but it was simply like just kind of like, I absolutely need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I know my kids are going to be good for 2 hours. I've
Yes.
just got to like push through whatever
Yes.
deliverable or meeting I have.
Yeah. We didn't have anybody who was kind of using it as their like, this is my main.
The primary.
Yes. Yeah. And there is such a benefit to using a space like this, especially when your kids are really young and you still have like a nursing relationship and because you're right there. More so than having full-time care in some cases where you're, maybe you're dropping your child off and that's what I did and that was great. But would I've wanted to have my child right there and have it be more flexible? Yes. And that's why I made it flexible. So I've had a lot of good parent feedback that it was like, I felt like I'm thinking of one parent in particular, and she has, 2 children, and she had, she started bringing her older child when her older child was like 6 months old, and she was just like, she would not take a bottle. I couldn't pump, like, she was like, and you help me, like, maintain my, like, be close to my daughter and maintain that relationship. And it all went so smoothly. And then she's like, and then when I had my second child, I was able to do kind of the same thing. And I don't know. I just think this model works so well now that we've kind of tweaked it in a little bit.
Yeah. I know. And I know, like, so I'm in the same boat as you. Like, both of my kids went to daycare and drop off and all that kind of stuff. And those daycares, they're wonderful in their own right.
Yeah.
But all of them are like, come and you can nurse during your lunch break or come. But for me, that was so challenging to think about, like, the drive and stopping what I was doing and everything like that. So to have it all in the same space is really cool. What ages? What in the childcare?
It's 6 months to 6 years.
6 months to 6 years. Oh, I do have a child that qualifies.
Yes.
Only for a few more months.
Okay. Yes.
That's amazing. I want to talk about yesterday a little bit because I got to observe the morning at the space. And here's where there's some things that I loved. One, I loved seeing little toddlers coming in with their moms in the morning.
Yes.
And the moms are getting their cup of coffee, potentially putting bottles in the refrigerator. I poked my head in the cute little childcare center and it looked awesome and amazing. And I saw their outdoor play space. Yeah. Conference rooms and offices in your building are named. They all have women's names.
All women's names, yes.
Attached to them. And you shared with me that some of them are women who have helped you along the way or been a big part of your life.
Right.
Some of them are just Cardi B and other just famous women.
Right.
Which I love.
Yes.
I love so much. It just was all kinds of happy. And I was really worried coming first thing in the morning. I was like, oh man, I'm really not going to be able to see much of the day. But I actually think I got to see a lot of the best part of the day.
Yes. You got to see part of the kid parade, as we call it, which happens 3 times a day, in the morning, then at lunch, when the providers have their break, and then at 5, just a parade of kids.
Oh
it's
my
really
gosh,
cute.
it's so cute.
But yeah,
yeah,
there's there's always activity
Yeah.
going on in the space. Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit, but I want to probe a little bit because I think for parents, there can be this huge psychological shift in their mental state when they think about my child is like 10 feet away, 15 feet away from me, and I'm able to be so much more productive and feelings of safety, stability because of that. So like, do you get that feedback from folks a lot?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And there are most of the kids that come in, it is their first experience with any sort of care by somebody other than a parent or a close family member. So there's obviously going to be a lot of like worry about that. But I'm like, this is great because you're here. So you can always go peek. You can go stick your head in. You're right here. If we have any problem, we can come get you. And I think that helps a lot of parents with the transition too, because I think actually it's harder for the parents than it is for the kids. Yes. Yeah. But I see a lot of parents, and I can see how it evolves. Like you'll have a parent who is like looking over the divider like 8 times in the first day, and like going in there a couple times anytime they hear like a little peep. And then you'll see it kind of like back off, and then you'll see it like they were just like, oh my gosh, I got so much done today.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, because you know that if anything happens, you're right here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Back to the daycare example, and our daycare is fabulous, but I can remember both of my girls' first days. I called during lunch.
Yeah.
How's it going? And of course the teacher's going to be like, everything's great, because also they don't want to worry you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's got to be different when you can actually see it with your own eyes.
I just remember like with my younger son, especially when I dropped him off, like he would be stuck on me like a little koala bear, and they'd have to like peel him off of me.
Yeah.
He would be crying. I would be crying. And then they're like, we promise, he, as soon as you're gone, he's okay. But I didn't have any like real evidence of that.
No.
The parents in my space do.
Yeah.
Because if their child has a little bit of, like if they have a little bit of that separation anxiety or anything, and, they cry or fuss a little bit, you'll know. You can go peek, although parents do get caught because your child will look you right in the eye through that window.
Of course.
And be like, hey, you're right there.
Yeah.
But you know that your child is fine because you have the evidence. You can go see that as soon as kind of you're out of their eye line, then they're happy and playing and doing circle time or having snack or playing with the other toddlers. So
I think that, well, as moms, we have all kinds of guilt that we can go into. But I think for some parents, they may be told or hear, well, you're at home. You're at home. Like, even if you're working, oh, well, you're remote. You're at home. So, like, can't you just, like, do this? Can't you just take care of your kids, too? How do you kind of help moms get past any kind of guilt that they may feel of like, okay, well, I am home. Like, should I be able to take care of the kids and work at the same time? Like,
I wasn't. I felt guilty when I was trying to do that during COVID, like forced to do that, not doing it by choice during COVID, because I was just like, well, I'm a bad parent because I'm like on this meeting not paying attention to my child who's trying to interrupt my meeting because he has a need. And then I'm a bad employee because I keep getting interrupted by this child. So my source of guilt was the opposite. Not like I should be able to do all this, because I was like, I don't think anybody can do all this.
Yeah.
And not saying like I'm perfect and I should have the capacity for this, but I was just like, I don't see how anybody does this unless they are just a superhero and they don't sleep. So yeah, I felt so much guilt the other way. It's hard for me to think about like having guilt. Like, why should you be able to focus on two things, give 2 things 100% of your attention at one thing? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Are people able to do that?
Yeah. And we're talking about ages where kids are not self-sufficient, like from 6 months to 5 years or 0 to 5 years. Like that's,
yeah,
they're small. They're
yes.
not. Okay. So it sounds like that's not a barrier that you have to help moms overcome. It sounds like moms are like, no. Help me. Please.
Yes. Well, and anybody else who has kind of like found me and is there and has a child in the childcare, like they had that where they were just like, I cannot do this myself. I've gotten to a point where I am looking for a different solution.
Let's talk pricing. Can you give me an idea of average type of membership, price, affordability, especially with like the childcare component? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So, I mean, when I set out, I really wanted to make it accessible and affordable as well as flexible. And there are lots of models around the country where this is kind of like a luxury thing where people pay a high lump sum to have this hybrid childcare and co-working or preschool and co-working model. But I didn't want that because I wanted to be inclusive instead of exclusive. So the pricing is, it's $12.75 an hour per child for non-members. So if you're here, like you need it, one time you want to try it out, something like that. And it caps at $75 a day. And then members get a lower rate and they can just do it hourly. So if they need it for a couple hours, they just pay for those couple hours, and it's $11 an hour for members and it caps at $65 a day. The memberships, especially now that I'm joined up with the Coven, there are so many options. But you kind of get those extra benefits like free conference room hours and the lower rate for the childcare and being able, the priority spots for the childcare, that kind of thing at the $250 a month membership level.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but it's hard to kind of go over all the options, but that's kind of the basics.
Tons. Yeah. And I think I was really surprised yesterday because I think I thought of this as like traditional remote workers coming, like using the space to work, potentially tapping into the childcare. But the reality is people are using your space for so many things. Like, for example, you have a whole suite in your space that is a business. Like they're using it as a team space for their business.
Yes.
You have another, like a nonprofit group that has a couple of offices in your space. You have your dailies. You have your members that come, most days a week and everything like that. I think you mentioned like even hosting like events for companies, like offsites.
Yes.
So maybe they'll come and they'll do an event in your space or rent a conference room for the day and everything like that. So I imagine there are total degrees of pricing based on like whatever it is that you're pursuing. And I think that's something really cool about your space is it's not just one purpose necessarily.
Right. Well, and all of those things can change at any moment, right? So you can have one job and then you can quit and start your own business, or you can get another job and in your child's ages, and they have different needs at different times. So everything kind of, it's built so that no matter where you are, kind of in both of those things, we can meet you there and provide something for you. Yeah.
Some free sparkly beverages.
Yes.
And coffee. Let's not forget those are important.
Those are very important. For any co-working space, you have to have good coffee. Like that's just a given.
Yeah, for sure. I think it can be hard to make other mom friends. So talk to me about partnering with the Coven and how did that evolve, or how did your space evolve into like maybe some like networking events or being able to like meet other moms and everything like that, because it can be intimidating.
Yes. Well, and I think one of the great things, and this is not necessarily something I thought about on the front end, but even with the childcare, because everyone has, they're picking up twice a day at the same times. And then that hour provider break that we have in the middle of the day, which is for compliance reasons. And also just because I really value my employees and I want to make sure that they have, a working schedule that supports their needs too. But, the parents end up having kind of like a social like play group during that hour. And I've seen so many moms and parents in general like exchange phone numbers and make connections, just because it's very easy if you're going into a space and there are 6 kids in there and another mom's dropping off at the same time. Like it's very easy to talk to them, and then you're both going to the same place afterward. So it's not like when I went into childcare, like to drop off my children, I might see another mom like for a couple minutes, but I didn't really have a chance to talk to them. But they're like dropping off their kids, and they know, like I know your child, and then we're both going into the kitchen and we're getting a cup of coffee after we drop off our kids. We have more chance to talk and connect. And also like we're both working moms, and we're both maybe we both work remote, maybe we both you have a little bit more base knowledge to start with about that person, where you don't feel like you're just kind of like sidling up to a stranger and just being like, hey, you want to be my friend? You have
blind date.
Yes, exactly. It is a much more of a warm introduction to people. And then you have more time throughout the day to kind of like make some casual connections, and then, create deeper connections. So I've seen a ton of that. And like, it's, the parents will talk to each other at lunch or in the space, and then they all do like lots of activities on the weekend. Like when somebody has a birthday party. Like they're all invited. And and a lot of times I get invited too. So I get to see all of them socializing outside of my space. And
That's really sweet.
Yes.
So organically, it sounds like, which is amazing.
Yes,
the best kind.
Well, I think that's like the key, not just with the childcare part, but with the other part too. Like I've seen so many professional and personal connections being made, even with people who don't have that aspect in common, because they are in the same space, and they've kind of made the same choices and to be there, and they have a lot of opportunity kind of like casually start a conversation or run into each other at the coffee machine.
Yeah. If you're a remote employee and if you've chosen to go into a co-working space, I imagine part of that is like because you have identified within yourself, you need to be around other people. You need the socialization aspect.
Yes.
So, they're there for that too.
Well, and our space is really, I really wanted to cultivate it to be a community rather than just a physical space. Like it's not just a space you bring your laptop and you plop down, which like some of the spaces, like that's what people want and they don't want that. But I think it's very obvious just from even the first tour, or if you come for open co-working day, that it's a space where people are there to also speak to each other and be community. And not saying you can't escape and like put your head down and work if you want to, but I do have a lot of open space. It's created and curated to be that way.
Yeah. One of your members that I saw had like, she was sitting in a booth and she had a table in front of her and she had taken over the whole table. And I was like, that would be me.
Yes.
4 drinks, 6 pens.
Yes.
Like that would be me.
I think that just speaks to me. That speaks to the comfort level that people have there. They're just like, I'm coming in, I'm spreading out. This is my space.
Yeah.
For the next 8 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is great. It means they feel really comfortable. So childcare breaks for lunch. So these parents get to have lunch with their children.
Yes.
I don't think I realized that. And that's really happy.
Yeah. And it's really great time. And there, I think some parents, even if maybe at first they're like, oh, that seems so inconvenient, but they really enjoy it. I've not ever seen a parent who doesn't really enjoy it.
Oh my gosh, like a midday break with your kid.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it also forces you to take a break,
yes.
which we all need. Yeah. That's very cool. Very, very cool. You kind of hit on this one, but childcare is it's a massive pain point for our generation, and one that I don't think I realized was as painful as like once I started getting into it and visiting daycares and finding out about wait lists and cost and all the things. So like, talk to me about like what you've learned about just the system of childcare through your work.
I mean, obviously I had the perspective of a parent who at some time had to arrange this, and I did all these tours, like even when I was pregnant with my first son, and just trying to find a space. And then at the time I had more of a flexible schedule because I owned a different business, like when I was pregnant with my second son. And it was really hard, not just to find a spot, but like finding a spot that also like, you're like, okay, well, I only want a couple of days a week. That's a huge challenge. So I always had that perspective of, it was kind of like, it was hard to find. And especially during COVID, like a lot of childcare centers and providers shut down.
Sure.
Like they couldn't sustain throughout that time. So the options were even fewer by the time we were kind of on the coming out of it, or coming out of the worst of it. But then also I found out so much more about, how the providers are treated and valued at these places. And I think that's why we have such a hard problem, is because, you're asking so much of these caregivers, but not valuing that work. Mm-hmm. So, and the childcare, like you would think, this is a fairly, costly service.
For sure. You're paying a lot.
But then the providers are not being compensated like that. So, and then they end up kind of leaving, and you have this rotating
massive
cast.
turnover.
Yeah, I mean, I think the average tenure of a childcare worker in this area is 6 months. Mm. And that's just, that doesn't really give you a lot of, no matter how fantastic that center is, it can be kind of jarring as a parent.
For sure.
To constantly have to deal with getting to know a new caregiver and things like that. Or just, and even for the child, it can cause some sort of anxiety about those changes. But so I think what I've figured out on this side of it is that if you, again, and it just goes along my values, right? Like valuing those caregivers are also a part of our community. And they are afforded all the benefits and all the respect that everyone gets in the space. Yeah. And so including being, paid a good wage above any listed childcare job that I could find in this area.
Good for you.
And it just means that we have people that are really, they really care for these kids, but they're also, they're very loyal to me as a leader and to the space as their employer, and they want to stay there. So we have people that have been there for years.
That's great. Yeah. Good for you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hear you on the value and what they're paid. That is such a pain point for me. And hard to understand when they are doing some of the most important work, in my opinion. And literally your child is in their hands.
Yes.
It's just crazy to me. So that's amazing. I'm so glad to hear it.
And I've gotten to know them too. And I just, I think they're amazing people. And I had a parent this week say, I went home and my child just started counting to 10 in Spanish. And she's like, it's amazing. And I'm like, yes. I always had that feeling when my kids came home with knowledge that I did not have to give them. Mm-hmm. They knew something, they learned something that I did not have to teach them. I'm like, this is amazing. There are people out there that are willing to kind of help me make my child into a person.
Yeah. An independent.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. So I think that care work is so undervalued, and I just don't want to do that.
No. The flip trick? Did you remember? Do you remember that moment where your kids learned the flip trick with their jackets?
Yes, because in my child's, it was that was one of the thresholds they had to pass to go to the next room. Yes.
Gosh, I just remember the days when they learned the flip tricks, and I was like, yes, they've learned the flip trick.
Yes.
Hopefully all the moms out there know what we're talking about, but that is key. Something I love about you is you've been really open about being a solo entrepreneur and some of the stumbling blocks that come with just trying to do it all yourself. And so what is your advice for someone who is currently a solopreneur and, they feel like they're just struggling and juggling?
I think everything always comes back to finding a community. And even a lot of my personal, obviously I wanted to kind of expand and grow, and I wanted my community to have more from their membership, and be able to connect with more people. But I also wanted a community. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be, because I'm just sitting there every day kind of struggling with a lot of decisions, and it didn't necessarily always feel like somebody was invested in what I was doing. And not that I need somebody to come like manage me or whatever, but I want somebody else who's just like, yeah, like, what can I do to help you? Whatever. And so that was part of my personal kind of impetus for joining up with the Coven.
Finding those people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because now I do have I have the other community owners that I get to talk to on a regular basis. And I have a little community too of people who are doing the exact same thing I am.
Yeah. Well,
So.
even if you know exactly what you want and you're a super decisive person and all those things, like it's still nice to just get like somebody else's perspective or a different view or like, oh, you've done that before. Let me learn and all that kind of stuff. So
no one kind of ever, like if you're just doing it by yourself, and I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but like, especially with the marketing stuff, I'm so used to doing this for other people, but then you'd have somebody else kind of like within your team, but then also like on the client side, you'd have somebody saying, yes, okay, like that makes sense to me. Let's do it. You had somebody approving those
final
things.
the final approval.
Where I'm just like, nobody's looking at it. No one's telling me this is the right thing to do. I'm just doing it. And and I was just like, I trust myself, but then sometimes you just want somebody else to say, yeah, okay, do that.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to have that now.
Decision fatigue is a very real thing. And it's a very real thing as a business owner where like you're making decisions all the way from like, what coffee am I going to stock in the kitchen to should I approve this person's time off to like, I think you reach a point of just like, I need somebody else to make decisions.
Yeah. If no one ever questions anything you do, then you're like, could there have been a version 2 that was a lot better than my version 1 that had nobody kind of checking after me?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a best girlfriend who like, she knows when I've reached my limit because I will let the waiter like pick my meal. I'm like, oh, you pick it. Whatever. And she's like, it's been that kind of day. Huh?
Yes,
I'm like, I can't think. What is something that was unique to Cary about like, I'm going to say either the entrepreneurial space, the childcare space, maybe something like the mix of both, but that you would like kind of surprise you when you started going down this path?
This is like, I talk about this a lot because it was really Cary has the highest percentage of people that work remotely in the country. It's over 41%.
That's so crazy.
Of people that live in Cary work remotely. So I was just like, oh yeah, slam dunk. It'll be remote workers like I was at the time, that's how I was thinking of it. There's been so many more people that own small businesses, have started small businesses. And there's been so much more of the entrepreneur focus than I ever anticipated. And that's fantastic. Because again, I feel like that's part of like my community and what I'm doing and people that kind of understand that journey. But then it's also opened up all of these other doors for me, like, with the having the NC Idea ecosystem grant last year. And there's just been so much more of that community because I really just thought it was a lot of people that wanted to get out of their house.
Yeah.
And be able to like not just be stuck in their house with their job and their child. But it's been so many more of, people that are starting or growing small businesses who, they're not totally sure of like how they're going to grow.
Mm-hmm. Don't want to be locked into this massive lease for a building.
Like, if you are starting a business and you're like, well, I think next year I'll have 8 employees or 15 employees. That's still a big difference in how much space you need. Like
100%.
How can you project that out for 5 or 10 years? Mm-hmm. So, it's been a lot more of those people who needed something to grow with them. There are all kinds of people who are self-employed in my space. We have therapists. We have lots of different service providers, like businesses I could never even like dream up. And I get to like meet all of those people and see what they do and be involved in their growth in some small part. And then also introduce them all to each other, like people that can help them.
Yeah. Holy cow. 41% highest remote working rate in the country.
Yeah. And Cary. Not Raleigh area, Cary. Yes.
At some point I really want to dissect that. Like, do you think it's like people moving from the north and like retiring here, but like working remotely? Or do you think it's like such a research I don't know. I have like so many.
I think anecdotally, it is a lot of people like kind of moving to this area. Yeah. And I know there was a lot of that migration, especially like post-COVID or during COVID, where people were like, I want to have like a kind of more settled lifestyle. I want the kind of house or property that I can afford here as opposed to maybe, where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Huh.
So
that's crazy.
But I don't know exactly. I'm sure the same article, because I think that was a statistic from maybe the Triangle Business Journal or something, like maybe there was some more like depth to that where you could get like if they looked into kind of the reasons why we have such a large remote working.
Yeah. I'll get my research team on that.
Yes.
My dog. What is one thing that you wish, I asked Cheyenne this question.
Okay.
Like, what is one thing you wish people asked about you or your business that maybe they don't?
It's so funny because I had to really get comfortable even talking about myself. Like my business, I'm talking about all the time, but like that's really easy because it feels like talking about other people and like what they need and what I can do for them. Maybe I'd like them to ask more about like why I'm so funny, things like that. Like my personal stuff. So, because I like to write jokes and comedy and stuff like that. So, but I don't know. That's not something I like share with a ton of people. Sometimes they'll find out.
Stand up? Like, do you do stand up or improv or something?
I've been approached a bunch of times, and that is something that I have a good friend in this area she's a stand up comic, and we've talked about like doing something. I don't know. I've actually talked recently with another entrepreneur, and she had taken a class, and she wants to maybe get together a group of, this is very specific, like moms who are business owners who want to do stand-up comedy and like do an event around that. So I think that maybe if people asking more about like, so what are kind of like the other things that I enjoy and that like might be able to, but maybe something around there, but still like that still feels like talking about just myself.
Yeah.
Which is less comfortable than talking about,
Yeah, I get it.
And then I'll never forget, like I mentioned it, and this is employees that aren't there anymore, but I still love them so much. And one of my employees, I was like, oh yeah, well, like this joke got republished in this place and whatever. And she's like, oh, like you write stuff. And she's like, so you like, you're funny. And she's like, so when did we get to hear you be funny? I guess I'm not as funny as I thought.
Oh no.
And I was like a humbling, but it was so funny because like that in and of itself was hilarious because she was like, oh, when did we get to hear you be funny? I'm like,
when are you going to tell us?
Do you not think I'm funny?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Anyway,
was she younger?
She was younger.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yes. So
hilarious. But what does your break room look like? Like, how do you personally get your energy back, restore? Like, what is your proverbial break room?
Right now, and we have to take this through the ADHD lens too, which I think a lot of founders and moms are in that kind of category. Yes. But so right now, my kind of focus outside of work and outside of momming is sewing. So I'm trying to, yes. So my mother-in-law is like an incredible quilter, and she's just like, she's an artist with fabric, really. Wow. And, but she's not like super into making clothes, which is something like I'm more interested in, but she wants to impart this to somebody. And since she has 2 boys and neither one of them seems to be interested, like I'm the heir apparent for her like fabric stash and her like sewing and everything. So, so she's tried to teach me, but we have very different styles. So, yeah.
What's the most recent sewing project?
I've been doing more like upcycling of things. So cool. Like if I have like a dress I'm not wearing, then I'll like cut it off and make a shirt out of it. I've made cut some of my husband's dress shirts down to be like feminine with like a ruffly collar and things like that.
Cute.
Like my other I watch a lot of TikTok. That's another one of my little breaks.
Yeah.
I'll watch some TikTok and it's just like, it's all sewing content. And I'm like, oh, okay. So this woman did this, and I'll just like do the same thing. And
I think that stuff is so cool, and it's so like intoxicating to watch. Like they're going through the aisles of Goodwill and they find this like old blanket, and then before you know it, they've turned it into like the cutest romper or something. And you're just like, oh.
That's it. And I think a lot of people are engaged in this right now because I go around to all these places. I cannot find an old quilt to save my life. I'm like looking for old tablecloths. I'm like, I can't find them. People are buying, but it's a fun, way to be creative.
We're going to do some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
I'm calling it Cary edition. Favorite activity to do with your kids and Cary?
This would probably not be their favorite activity to do with me, but I like, hiking, walking. So I like going over to like Hemlock Bluffs. I like going downtown to the doing library and then the park and then walking downtown, going to fresh local ice cream and, doing something like that. Like I like doing that with the kids.
Yeah.
They would probably say we like dragging mom to break some minifigs, someplace like that. But I like to do kind of like outdoorsy things, something where it's something for them, but something for me as well.
For sure. For sure. Favorite place for a last minute birthday gift? This could be a kid's gift or it could be like a gift for a girlfriend. You get to decide.
I cheated because this is not in Cary, but I have to, if I had to buy a last minute gift, I would go and brave the parking situation.
Oof, but that says a lot.
Yes. Go downtown to Deco, Raleigh.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah. Back in my previous life, I worked and Deco is in a different spot than it used to be, but I worked in the building above Deco and worked with them a little bit, and they just have the most amazing things. And I love supporting local businesses and artists too. And so I think that's a good place to go. And they're just going to have a variety of things that you could not even conceive of.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Worth the parking.
Yes.
Favorite date night location?
Okay. So this is where I seem really lame because I'm we do not I just don't.
They can't convince me to get off my couch.
No.
Or park.
If we have a night where the kids are tracked out and they're visiting grandparents or something, we'll just get sushi and eat it at home.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Because I feel like those are the nights where we can actually sit down and watch a movie together and not be interrupted.
Yes.
Listen, I get it. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Favorite dessert in the area?
I would say Andia's. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because my kids take music lessons over at Notasium, and there's Andia's right next door, and so it's it's right there.
Yeah.
They always have different flavors, and they had one time they had a cookie butter one. I'm super into cookie butter right now.
Here.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that would be good. I mean, there are some runners up Brecotea. I'm never sure how to say it, but they have some really good things over there as well.
And it's so close.
Yes. It's right down the street.
Yeah.
Yes. So
cool.
Yeah.
So cheat codes. So cheat codes, Alison, are anything that you have implemented in your life that just makes your household run more smoothly?
I really have to have pretty strict routines, kind of with the aforementioned ADHD. And then also with just having 2 kids and a dog and, a business where I have to be there early in the morning. And especially now because I have someone who helps me at the desk. She just had a baby. So we love that. So I'm I'm there every day.
Yeah.
So I just had to really make my morning be a really strict routine that's timed and scheduled so I can make sure that the dog gets walked and that, and I even have kind of a routine down with packing the kids' lunches, and they have I have a certain formula of things I do. So making sure all of that is kind of automatic so everything gets done is my cheat code, because otherwise if I'm just left to improvise in the morning, nothing will happen, nothing will get done. But I'm just okay, I have to be out of bed at this time and I have to walk the dog and I have to these are the times. And then I do I build in a little bit of downtime during that time too, where I can just like sit,
Have a few
and,
moments.
like,
to
yes,
yourself.
and like look at the news and things like that, and catch up with some of my friends that live far away, and so I have a little bit of that time built into. But like I said, it's all on a strict time schedule.
Allison, you have been a joy. Thank you for doing this. Everyone should come check out your space.
Yes, please.
Okay. Blush Coworking Space in Cary. You can also find it by searching the Coven Cary.
The Coven Cary, yes.
Okay, so
So
that's the
everything's
proper
going
name.
that way, yes.
That's the proper name.
Yeah.
Find you on your website. Go visit.
Thecoven.com/Cary.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. And we're having next Wednesday an open co-working day.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to like come by, see the vibe, try it out, that's a really good day to do it.
How often do you do those?
About once a month.
About once a month.
So
Okay.
we'll have a lot of times, the space will be open for people to sign up and come by and see it, or work for the day without having to invest any money. Just try it out. And then we have some local experts who have lent their time too. So we'll have people who will help you with like all your tech issues, and we have an accountant that will do open free office hours and things like that.
Very
So
cool.
yes.
All right. You heard it here first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.